All right, let's kick it. I'm Patrick with popculturekick.com. I'm here with Erin Áine and Kyle Valley, the filmmaking duo behind ZombieCon Volume 1, the horror comedy that's available now on streaming. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Patrick. We're super pumped to be here, and our daughter Anya is joining because babysitting options these days.
It's limited.
I understand. How did y'all come up with the cosplay Comic-Con angle for ZombieCon?
So we wanted to do a feature film. We landed on zombies pretty quickly. And then it was kind of a mission of how do we make a zombie movie that pays respect to all the zombie movies that came before us and kind of honor them and pay a little homage to them because they obviously, we're huge cinephiles and we love those movies. But make it different enough that it's like us and it's about us and it's kind of like unique.
What I love most about this movie is how it's centered on the fans that I feel like I've stood in line with at Comic Cons and stuff like that as a cosplayer myself. Usually I go as a Dragon Ball Z themed character.
Nice.
So,
I don't know if you could see this.
oh yeah.
Is it on the bottom?
No, it's on the side. Got my DBZ socks on today.
I have DBZ always on me, the Goku tattoo.
Oh,
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I noticed, yeah, Dragon Ball Z is popular amongst Rockets.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well,
especially Javier.
that was my like gateway anime when I was like 5 growing up in like the early 90s. It was like the only anime that I didn't even know it was anime. Like it was like on publicly syndicated television. It was before Cartoon Network and Toonami. And it would just be like a single episode. I'd catch it randomly on like Saturdays or Sundays. And then next week I'd see a different episode that would be the same characters, but totally like disjointed. Had nothing to do with what happened the previous week.
Yeah.
And I just like became obsessed with, I think it was like during the whole Raditz. I think they had that was like the one season they had and they would kind of bounce around all over the place.
Yeah, I remember
And
watching disparate dubs. Like it would be something different on Kids WB, and then when it started airing on Cartoon Network, it'd be a completely separate season. But yeah.
yeah. And then Cartoon Network also had the joyful reality of every time, or at least when they were first airing it, right? Goku's going to Namek, and like, as a kid, I'm like super pumped, like he's about to get there. It's like, this is gonna be the coolest fight ever. And he lands, and then obviously that episode ends, and then I'm like, oh, tomorrow is the day. The next day, it starts back from the first episode. I was like, God, no. And that happened. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
kept hoping it wouldn't happen, but it kept happening over and over and over again.
yeah, that happened like half a dozen times. Be like, he's gonna go Super Saiyan. I'd read ahead online to see, what happens on the show in Japan, and then it just took forever for those episodes to make it to the States. But
Yeah, I remember watching like I had bootleg like tapes that I was able to get from like a comic store that I guess were recorded by someone over there. They had like the yellow subtitles on the bottom, like really cheaply done, like really cracky video. And then after that got me through the end of the Frieza saga, and then I was able to see a little bit more because my buddy was also a big DBZ fan, and he managed to work. I wasn't like a super computer savvy guy, and he at the time was like super computer savvy because he could find videos online. And then we sat there for like 3 or 4 hours waiting for like 5 minutes to download, and you'd be like, oh yeah, let's watch it on like a screen the size of a postage stamp.
Kids these days, they'll never understand the
yeah,
agony.
they don't understand the struggle.
And as we're kind of trying to figure out what that secret ingredient is, we'll call it, we were visiting my brother down in Florida, and he's a huge movie prop collector. He's got like, a wall full of Predator masks and like, just stuff from all over the like cinematic universe of everything. And I saw a Captain America shield on a wall, and I was like, wow, that would be cool to defend myself with in a zombie movie. I could use it as an offensive weapon, defensive weapon. I'm like, that would actually be pretty handy. And I start like looking around at all the other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this stuff would be great. And I'm like, well, budgetarily wise, this is never going to work because all this stuff is super expensive, and there was no way we could do. Like, my brother's not going to let us destroy this stuff. And I was like, well, who else has all this stuff? I'm like, I'm a cosplayer. I've got a lot of cosplayers. And I was like, then I could make everything out of EVA foam armor. I could make it myself. It's cool. I feel like cosplayers are a very resourceful, creative group of people. They like never see them in movies, and having them come up with solutions to like the zombie apocalypse problem, I was like, this could be really interesting. And I know cosplayers. I'm a cosplayer. This is perfect. And from that was like the genesis. And then it was just one exciting idea after another until the concept basically gelled together completely.
That's cool. I really like that concept. I feel like cosplayers are often the butt of jokes in movies, and in this one they're the heroes. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I never understood why to like being the butt of jokes. It's like, I know exactly what you're talking about, but it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, if you look at, especially like the top tier cosplayers, which obviously like I'm not that good of a foam smith. Like I could do a little bit of work, but like I'm not going to sit there and do the dragon scales and like, we didn't have time for this movie especially to do that. I mean, I would, I guess, if I had the time and, freedom to do it. But like the highest level of cosplay, those cosplays are more quote unquote movie accurate and lore accurate than this actual stuff in the movies that everyone is like, oh my God, did you see the Iron Man suit in the last movie? It's like, well, that was like all CG apart from like the first film. It's like, you want to see like an actual Iron Man suit, go to a con. And then one of my like other favorite niche genres is Warhammer 40,000. And I don't know if you've seen a Warhammer 40,000 cosplay, but like they're freaking like the most badass things ever.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of huge Overwatch cosplay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Overwatch is another one with giant, oversized, muscly characters, and some of the detail work they get on the skin suits for those kind of get-ups is absolutely incredible. I think it's like, what is the org? I'm not like a huge Overwatch player. I've never actually played the game, but I'm familiar with the characters. And isn't there like a giant, like ogre-like character who's got like mostly bare skin?
Roadhog. Yeah, he's the guy with the pig face, and he throws a chain.
Okay, that sounds correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I should know. I used to play as Roadhog when I played Overwatch. I really like how this movie appreciates all the hard work that goes into making those costumes. If they're cosplaying, they're the fans. They're the ones that the movies are supposed to entice. Who would you say are your biggest filmmaking influences?
Well, I would say for sure Spielberg. I mean, especially growing up when we did in the 90s, it's like Jurassic Park was probably the most visually stunning, coolest experience. I'm going to put it right up there with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings in terms of you just step into that movie and you feel like you're taken away. And of course, that's Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I think for my top influence, it was always Spielberg. Going into one of his movies, you knew you were in for a good time, and he was going to take care of you as the movie watcher. Like, the world was going to be rich. It was going to be cinematically stunning. The themes, the acting, the characters, everything was going to be top-notch, and he just nails it every time.
Yeah, Spielberg's the best. I think Jurassic Park was one of the first movies I saw in theaters, and I should not have been taken to that movie. I was so scared. When the T-Rex eats the guy, and when the velociraptors get out.
Oh yeah. We have friends with a 3.5-year-old, and he's obsessed with the Jurassic Park movies. He's like terrified by other things that should be terrifying, but Jurassic Park movies, he starts applauding whenever they kill one of the humans. Yeah. He's on the dinosaur side.
Oh yeah, 100%. I could list, a whole slew of directors. Like I said, I'm kind of a cinephile. I've seen a bajillion movies. But if I had to just pick one person, it'd probably be James Cameron. Terminator, Terminator 2, Aliens, The Abyss, True Lies. It's a kind of short filmography, but I think every one is pretty much a banger. I know people are probably mixed on the newer Avatar movies. I just saw the newest one. I really enjoyed it personally. I thought that was one of the best. I thought it was better than even Way of Water, which I thought was good for introducing the characters. And this kind of let the characters breathe and like really enjoy the action, which was just badass. But I've always loved his filmmaking style, like the way he basically mastered the way he took hold and mastered as many jobs on set as possible to make sure that everyone was basically doing the best work that they could do. Because when we first started, I was trying to teach myself this stuff, and I didn't, it was a slow learning process to get through every single job on set. And I was always concerned, especially with lower budgets, how do I know that I'm getting what I'm paying for? If I'm hiring someone to do something, how do I know that they're, doing the best that they can do within the limitations of the budgetary constrictions that we have? And the only way to really know that answer was to learn how to do it myself and to know what was possible and what was not possible. And that way we could have a real dialogue about it. And, that kind of really wasn't a big issue, especially for ZombieCon, because everyone we worked with, we had basically worked with before. So we very luckily kind of dodged that. But it was great to helping us work as such a small unit and team and get a lot of pickup shots, especially like by ourselves. Because, we really didn't need anyone else but like the actors. And as long as I had ample time to set everything up, and it's, a bit of a physical encumbrance to do all that yourself. I don't know if I could do it now. I'm a little bit older. But back then I was like, I got energy. Let's go.
Y'all did every job on this movie. Director, producer, co-writers, star. This is really your passion project. It really comes through.
Thank you. Yeah, with indie filmmaking, it's sort of like Kyle was saying. You learn how to do it or you hire someone. And when you don't have money, especially in the beginning, the better option seems to be learn how to do it yourself. Now, in the long term, probably still is. You just don't realize how many jobs there are to make a film, and a good one at that. So it's been a lot of learning.
Oh, yeah. And the worst part is like the business side of filmmaking. The legal stuff and the paperwork. Stuff that no one ever talks about on YouTube. Like, I haven't seen anyone break. Maybe the legal mindset guy that does all the stuff.
You should.
But it is a nightmare to do contracts and, work within all the union guidelines. And it's just like, it almost zaps the fun totally out of it. And you just have to hold tight and be like, we'll be on set soon. We'll be on set soon. We'll be on set
Remember
soon.
how much you love movie making. Remember how much you love it.
There's some few really great scares in this movie, like when the neighbor attacks Rocket in the kitchen. How do you visualize sequences like that?
So that specific sequence was a combination of creative problem solving and frustrated failure. Because initially in the script, he was supposed to come through the wall. I wanted him to like burst out of the drywall between the two apartments. And we could have done it, but because it was such a small space and we had all the camera equipment in it, building a faux wall that was big enough off the back wall and having him actually come through it, it would have been a logistical disaster. So it was like, how do we create a awesome jump scare with that same kind of feel, but is also realistic? And that apartment had that really weird quirk of a ladder in the kitchen, which goes up to a crawl space, which connected with, through thin walls, all of the other apartments. So I'm like, well, I mean, he could have easily, gotten up there and came right through this wall way easier than coming through the actual wall. And then he's all of a sudden in their apartment. And that was just kind of the solution to the problem, which ended up becoming like this awesome thing where it was like, I should have thought about him coming through the ceiling to start with.
I loved your quote in your article, how you said John Carpenter would be proud of some of those jump scares.
that one got me because they were saying he was the downstairs neighbor. So you're not, in your mind space, you're not thinking up. And then the guy's all of a sudden above him. I was like, oh my God, that one made me jump out of my seat.
Technically, when we were filming that too, I don't know if you saw the insert. It happens very quickly when Rocket is getting his water and he pulls his water away, and this like black globule falls in directly into his water cup. But that was actually done totally practically in we had a couple takes to do it, and that was Joe, our makeup artist, from the hole upstairs, dropping this very syrupy type effect goop, and had to drop it perfectly for it to land right in the cup. And luckily we got it. I didn't think about how difficult that could have been at the time. But I was like, Joe, you could do it. Don't worry about it. And yeah, on the third take, he had got it like perfectly. So.
And if you rewatch the film and now you look for it in the scene where we're going in a circle and I'm explaining to the group what has just went down, and the fact that I've caused a zombie apocalypse
right before he comes out.
Right before he comes out. If you look over Punky's shoulder at the attic door once or twice, the door slightly opens a crack or two as though he's peeking.
Wow. Pretty good attention to detail. It's like the boundaries of hiding y'all's creativity. That's really, that's really special about indie filmmaking.
Totally.
Yeah.
When you don't have a ton of options, you sort of find very creative solutions.
Yeah. Rocket's feud with his old friend, and I won't spoil what happens, but is that based on a real life feud?
No, not based off of a real life feud. Just kind of me being involved in the con scene, knowing people. Like, I don't think I ever saw anything that vitriolic. But there were definitely, anytime people put a ton of work into cosplays and stuff, elbows get rubbed. It just happens. People are people in every space. Even though the con space, I think, is personally one of the most like loving and like open and like best places to be, there's still people that have problems with other people. That's just how it works. And I was kind of taking a couple of those different things that I'd seen just kind of being on the con floor and trying to, blow it basically out of proportion to the point where you would have like these super vitriolic emotions. And there's like a whole further backstory between the way they used to work together on the same team. A lot of this stuff got cut out of the movie for time. But basically, their history runs way deeper than just like them copying a couple of their cosplays at cons and stuff.
Here's a scary guy. It's not someone I'd want to tick off. But no, I love how the group, they all cherish, the group mom who makes all the costumes.
Oh yeah. Mama Bear.
Yeah, played wonderfully by Nicole McCauley. She absolutely knocked it out of the park. So lovable, so fun, so like generally a little bit clueless, but also so well intentioned.
Yeah. She was fantastic, and I know for her end costumes we had like that the animation. She was wearing like a Pikachu shirt or a Pikachu adjacent shirt for legal reasons, whatever it was, and I got those kind of last minute because I was trying to figure out what her kind of lounge wear would be, and I felt like it should be like con related. She was like a cosplayer back in the day, and it just needed to be something that was relatable, especially with the Rockets because she's always wearing stuff that's like they're fans of. And I bring her these shirts, and I think one was like a Captain America like shirt or adjacent shirt, and she looked at them. She's like, they were just like big baggy T-shirts, giant ones. She's like, I got to do something with these. You mind if I just cut these apart? I was like, yeah, go for it. And so she actually designed, which is cool, right? Because she actually, like in the story, canonically, she's creating the cosplay for the characters. And in the actual behind the scenes of the movie, she's creating her own costumes for the movie, which was neat.
It's called ZombieCon Volume 1. Do we have ZombieCon Volume 2 to look forward to?
So we've got Volume 2, 3, 4, and 5 written. And I wrote those, honestly, a couple years back, and I just needed to exercise the demons. I had to, they were stuck in my head, and I just had to get them out on paper. And the story actually goes up to 10, and I've got to kind of beat it out to there. It's got very much an anime-centric kind of storyline. If you think like like each one of the episode or each one of the movies is almost like a full arc of an anime season or something, and it kind of closes up after this 10 movie arc type thing. I guess it'd be like it would be kind of like Avatar in that way. Now I'm thinking about it. That'd be the first one that kind of hits that same kind of story trajectory with the growing characters, growing conflicts, but each movie grows upon itself. World mechanics get more built in. So like the rock that creates the problem in the first movie, there is a whole backstory behind that, and it's not just like a one-off item. But again, for time, we had to strip a lot of that stuff out of the theatrical, version of the film. The DVD has like a cut like beginning that's like an anime inspired like old VHS tape, like I was saying earlier about the Dragon Ball Z tape. So it's kind of got that vibe, and it explains more of kind of like the lore of The Rock. But that stuff will now be drip fed through the next 10 seasons, and it creates like a very kind of almost like a devil fruit adjacent One Piece type story mechanic for the characters and for the world building. And in regards to number two, we because the movie did so well, we at first weren't like thinking it was going to be possible, but now we're very much of the mindset like let's get going on it, like let's get production started. And we were lucky enough to have a few great opportunities because of the movie at the beginning of this year that pushed back our start date on it, and we actually finished another movie last year that is in the tail end of post production. So once we get through these next few opportunities and are able to just finish the post production on that next film, then we can get started with pre production on Volume 2.
Wow, that's awesome.
We're not going to leave everyone hanging. There's a whole world and a whole insane saga that the Rockets, who knows if they'll all make it, but the Rockets are going to be embarking on. And it would be a shame for that never to come to light.
Oh, it's badass. It starts with there'll be a 10-year time skip because obviously it took us 10 years to finish the film. All our actors aged beautifully, especially Erin.
Stop
it. Definitely want to, I kind of want to jump forward and show, okay, we've all seen the characters running through, the zombie apocalypse. My favorite part of all the zombie movies are, okay, we've been living in the zombie-infested world for X amount of time. What have the people done to kind of rebuild society to the best of their abilities and like to cope with the zombies? So that's kind of where we jump off at, which allows for the introduction of some more characters. Some you know from the first, some you haven't met yet, and also allows our characters that 10-year time span to have breathed and lived in this problem and allowed those character dynamics to develop in, realistic but highly emotionally volatile ways where you'll see a lot of different sides of the main four and how they're interacting and dealing with problems and dealing with each other. That should be. I think it's cool.
Pretty epic.
So.
I'm so pumped about it. My character, I won't get into super details, but she has quite a physical transformation, and she takes an insane militaristic type role in this next one, and it all makes sense given her trajectory and her emotional devastation over the last 10 years and guilt of knowing, what she's caused. And so it's a role and a film and a whole film series that I'm super excited to be getting back into.
Well, I'm super excited for Volume 2 through 10. So I really look forward to, seeing the sequels and, interviewing you guys again when the sequels come out.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
Please. We were so floored by your article review of ZombieCon Volume 1. I can't even tell you, especially in the first month or two of the reviews coming in, Kyle and I, we work in two different rooms, I would scream up to him, Kyle, we got a new review, hold on, and he'd come running down, and I'd read it, or we'd watch the video together, and yours was one of those, and it's just one of those core memories that I'll always, hold as so special.
She's about to knock that
I
out.
got to throw back to how much it meant as well, your quote in your article where you said that certain jump scares got you, and John Carpenter would be proud. I was like, chef's kiss. Amazing.
that whole sequence just reminded me of something out of, one of John Carpenter's zombie flicks. That's the first thing I thought of when I was watching the screener was, dang, they got the goods. This is, Carpenter level scares. Okay. Well, thank you guys for, getting online and chatting with me.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much. Anytime you want to chat anything, just let us know, man. We're back here in a second. This is a blast.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Erin and Kyle, thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you. This has been Patrick for popculturekick.com. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.